Hello grade 9, how are you today? Today we're going to start with session 4 of our lesson, which is real numbers. It's teacher Sarah. Today we're going to talk and explain real numbers, rational numbers and irrational numbers. So let's start with this activity, kinds of numbers. First of all, we have to observe the adjacent figure. Natural numbers, like counting numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Integers are all the positive and negative numbers. Decimal numbers are numbers with a decimal point. These are called rational numbers with these numbers. Another one, irrational numbers. These are called irrational numbers. All these numbers are called real numbers. This is the title of our lesson. Now let's answer these questions. Is any number with a decimal point considered as a decimal number? Here, numbers with a decimal point. Are these numbers a decimal number? Of course not. Why? Because the decimal number should be limited. Here we have 3 points. Okay? 2. Is 5 an integer? Look at 5. It's in the group of natural number. Is it an integer? Is it positive or negative number? Of course, I can put here plus 5. So it will be an integer. So yes, 5 is an integer. Are all rational numbers decimal? This is the pink box, rational numbers. All of them are decimals. We said these numbers are not decimals. So, no. Not all numbers are decimals in the rational group. 4. Are all whole numbers decimals? Look at the whole numbers here with the natural numbers. Are all of them decimals? If you look at them, you can say, no, they are not decimal numbers because they don't have a decimal point. But don't forget, I can write 5.0, 1.0, 100.0. So yes. Are all integers rational numbers? Look at the integers. Are all of them rational? Yes, the blue circle is inside the pink box. So they are rational numbers. Let's talk more about kinds of numbers. There are different kinds of numbers. Starting with the natural numbers, as we said before, the counting numbers that we learned when we were small, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, 30, 1000, 1 million, 1 billion, and so on. Integers are the positive and negative numbers. Decimal numbers are numbers that have decimal point, but pay attention, decimal numbers must be limited. The decimal part should be limited. Note that every natural number is an integer. These natural numbers, I can say they could be integers because I can add plus, 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 plus to all of them. They are all positive integers. Every integer is a decimal number. Integers, I can put point, point, 0, point, 0, point, 0. So all of them could be a decimal number. And every decimal number is a rational number. Rational numbers are numbers that we deal with them in our daily life. So as we have a box, the big box is the rational numbers. In it, we have smaller box, which is the decimal numbers. Inside it, smaller box, it's the integers, positive and negative numbers. Inside it, we have the smaller box, which are what? The natural numbers. Okay, look here. These are signs or notations of these natural number. It could be written as n, integers as z, and decimal numbers as d. Look here, 4, it could be written as positive 4, and I can write it as 4.0, and also I can write it as a fraction, 4/1. Now let's talk more about rational numbers. Rational numbers are numbers that can be expressed in the form of A over B. A over B is a fraction where A and B are integers and B is not equal to 0. So, rational numbers, the big box, are all the numbers in our life that could be written as a fraction. Examples: rational numbers. These are rational numbers. This is a fraction. Here I can write it over 1, over 1, over 1, and 3.8 I can also write it as a fraction. 3 over 8, it could be written as 38 over 10. Okay, so all of them could be written as a fraction. Note that every natural number, integer or decimal and fraction, is a rational number. So all these numbers could be written as a fraction. So all these numbers are rational numbers. Okay, teacher, then what are the irrational numbers? Irrational numbers are numbers that cannot be written as a fraction. Example, radical 3. You can say, teacher, can I write radical 3 over 1? No, in the fraction, we cannot put a radical. Okay, pi. No, I cannot write it as a fraction. This one, it's not a decimal number because the decimal part is not limited. So these numbers are irrational numbers. Irrational numbers are few in our life. We usually don't work with them. So rational numbers and irrational numbers are called real numbers. So real numbers include, this is the biggest box, whole numbers and natural numbers, integers, decimal numbers that have decimal point, rational numbers, the numbers that can be written as a fraction and they end the decimal part, while the irrational numbers, these numbers cannot be written as a fraction, and if they have a decimal point, the decimal part doesn't end. Put radical 2 on your calculator, radical 5 on your calculator. These numbers are not decimals. These are irrational numbers. So all of them are real numbers. So, as we said, real numbers is composed from rationals and irrational. We usually deal with rational numbers. All the numbers in the rational box could be written as a fraction. Okay? These numbers are natural numbers, integers, decimals, and these numbers that doesn't end but they are repetitive. While the other box, which is the irrational numbers, these numbers cannot be written as a fraction, and if we look at the decimal part, it's not limited and it's not repetitive. So these are called real numbers. Let's make an application. Answer by true or false. A, every decimal number is an integer. This is a decimal number. Is it an integer? Is it a positive whole number? Integer means positive or negative whole numbers. Pay attention. No, Because like this number, it's a decimal number, but it's not an integer. Keep it in your mind. Integers are whole, positive, and negative numbers. 5, is it a decimal number? Yes, I could write it as 5.0. So true. See, every mixed number is a rational number. Is it right? Mixed number. Example, 5 1/3. Every mixed number could be written as a fraction. So this number could be written as a fraction. Since it could be written as a fraction, so it's a rational number. True. Radical 5 over 2 is a rational number. Put it on your calculator and find the answer. If you find the answer, you can find that it has a decimal point, but it's not limited. So it's not a rational number. Every fraction can be expressed as a decimal number. Is it true? I guess it's not. Why? Because take an example, put on your calculator 4 over 9. Is it a decimal number? No, because the answer will be 0.44444444. So it's not a decimal number. Decimal number should be limited. Okay, so the fraction is a decimal number only if the division of the numerator by the denominator is terminated. Terminated means limited. The answer is exact, like 0.4 only. Okay, but this number is not a decimal number, so false. By this, we finished our session. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.